Okay, so I want to talk with you guys about important Bitcoin value areas. These value areas are not just acting as magnets at the moment for the price to trend towards, but it is also giving us a sign on whether or not we are going to start moving higher, or if the bears are still holding strong and keeping the price down, potentially wanting to bring the price lower. So let's take a look at everything. We're not going to worry about the news because regardless of the news, macroeconomic US or around the world doesn't matter right now, uh, regardless if it's positive or negative. The value structures uh, are more important, in my opinion. So I'm going to share with you guys my opinion. We're going to get started. Basically, if you guys remember, if you saw yesterday's video, I said um, we're moving sideways in this consolidation uh, format within two fib structures that are they're both retracements, but they are overlapping each other, and the price sort of held within this area a little bit. And then I'm very glad I closed out a short position I had a while ago, still in the green, because we're obviously much higher now. But here's the thing: yesterday I said that even though the overall picture is higher, we are still in a short-term correction. And the reason I'm very excited to talk about this right now is because as we get more information provided to us, as Bitcoin continues to trend and fluctuate, it allows us to narrow down, in my opinion, it allows us to narrow down the, the setup and understand it better. So yesterday I said that there's two scenarios, and each of those two scenarios has two pathways within it. Now I can narrow this down in half, and we're straight up just looking at two pathways potentially. They both lead the same direction, but one of them is, of course, much more bullish in the short term than the other one. But they both lead, and I'm going to get into detail of this in a moment, but they both lead to much higher prices um, as we continue through the 2025 bull run. So here's the thing, right? Yeah, there's some macroeconomic fear right now, but we can't really let this bother us too much. I'm going to break down the two scenarios, but we got to remember too that the VIX is quite down. The volatility index is quite low. I mean, it's still trending down. It came up for a little bit, still holding a little bit of a downtrend. It broke below the swing low, and it went higher, and it's trying to kind of weaken itself out and go lower. But regardless of this, and of course the RSI even on it, even though this isn't a tradable asset technically, um, it's still very important to understand that even though we're very low and we can easily pop up, we still have a bit more room where we can come down and relax, and this can allow short-term optimism to grow, and this can be a trap, or it can be a very good setup depending on how you look at it and what kind of how good you are at controlling your intentions in trading. But we also got to remember too, and this highly influences Bitcoin, because this can be a very good setup for it as well. We know a lot of money flows into the overall market, like the S&P 500 as an example, um, and that money, a lot of it begins to come out of Bitcoin, some other assets, and even bonds, and go straight into the S&P, and then vice versa. If the U.S. stock market seems to be overvalued, a lot of money can flow out of that into like gold, Bitcoin, uh, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But we know that right now the S&P is quite overextended. It can easily keep pushing higher. I mean, we're holding an uptrend. We're holding above the 120 moving average, acted as a really strong support. So if the S&P and overall market continues to, and I know Nvidia is killing it right now. Nvidia is killing it, but this can allow a little bit more weakness in Bitcoin, as we continue to wait for more official tariff negotiation news. It's just something that we gotta just keep an eye on, and now we can go ahead and look at the chart. But okay, here's the thing. First scenario is the scenario I kind of been keeping an eye on for a while now, and that I'm still warning everyone about, at least in my own personal opinion and how I'm looking at the chart. So the first scenario is the price is coming down into this deep value area, and I mentioned this a lot. But if you're new, basically this area looks very similar to this, where we had deep value tested three times, Then we had an uptrend that broke previous resistances, and then it came down into a proper retracement before shooting up much, much higher. And if this holds true, then we can look at, we have 3 deep value dips below 80K. We had an uptrend that broke previous resistances, and now we're looking for, I'm considering this deep value because we are obviously very bullish in the bigger picture. So prices breaking below 100K once again would just be an amazing buying opportunity to accumulate. We break below 100K, we can easily come all the way down to like 85. We can fluctuate around 95, 90. It really doesn't matter. But the purpose is, I'm gonna be using this as this is what I'm doing. It's my own opinion. Once we start breaking below 100K, I want to aggressively accumulate more swing positions on Bitcoin. So here's the thing though. I mentioned yesterday that like I'm not going to participate in this, but I wouldn't be surprised since we're holding a kind of a consolidation area for quite a bit. We can see some bullish momentum to push us up into this fib area. This fib area is just based off of this higher low from here, and then within this structure, just the first overall correction, and it gives us this area to keep an eye on. The price came up perfectly. And I mentioned yesterday, I'm like 108.5, even 109K is very, very interesting as a strong resistance. We ended up using it as resistance. It would have been perfect to accumulate and sell within this area, but I was very clear I was not going to participate in it because I'm being very, very, very selective with my trading, short-term trading right now, because even though we obviously have some bullishness in the short term, and now since the price broke into this fib area, it opens the pathway to potentially try to maximize this one that we had in the past, all the way up to like 112. It can even go up to 113K to kind of give a new all-time high and kind of stretch it out a little bit. This is very much possible. And if anyone wants to, in my opinion, take a long trade right now, it would be as simple as using the 120 moving average as a strong SL. If you don't want to keep an eye on the 120, you can even just use previous support as an SL. So the moment we break below this one to try to retest 104.3K, that would just open up the pathway for the bulls to just, or the bears to just bring us down a little bit more and finally come into this area. So the idea here is, the first scenario is lower prices just to complete it. Support areas get broken. Still, we have an advantage to accumulate. We're holding above the 120 moving average. We have a little bit more room to 109.8K, and then we can easily go all the way up to 112 and 113K. So if anyone's taking long positions right now, I just hope that you guys are using strong SLs in case we do finally start breaking lower, but there's still opportunity to make more profit to the upside while still conserving capital and being responsible with the trading. Second scenario, in my opinion, is we could, eventually if we come into this purple area, we're just gonna, in my opinion, recover very, very quickly. We'll be going much, much higher. But the second scenario is this area gets invalidated by the price continuing to hold higher lows, pushing the price into like the 109, 110K, 112, 113K, and creating not just an uptrend, but more room for us to then keep an eye on as the price, if the price goes up higher, we can easily keep an eye on it with a very reasonable retracement area, which is based off of from the higher low, as all the way up to however high the price goes. It will give us a very, very clear indication to look at potential supports and hold an uptrend and finally go into the green. The moment we touch the green, I'm just not going to worry about this purple area anymore. It will be invalidated. But so far we do not have bullish momentum, because yesterday I also said, I wouldn't be surprised even if we have bullish momentum very quickly to go up here. And I said as long as we're holding below this overall swing low, this swing high right here, 110.6K, like I wouldn't be surprised if we go up into this area and just hold below this and continue to fluctuate. But yeah, it's as simple as that. In order for me to want to take a short-term position, I'm going to continue to accumulate the overall swing position to take advantage of the rest of the bull run. I want to accumulate once you have either bullish confirmation or we go into deep value, I want to add more, and I'll show you guys what that position looks like soon. But right now, it will be as simple as, we have an uptrend in the short term. But overall, we're still in this corrective move down. And if you guys like, Elliott waves, we have a 5-wave move in the first one on the first overall wave down, second wave higher, could have bottomed. I mean, it could have finished, but it's a little too consistent for me to want to think that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just have a 3-wave move up. This one's stretching up a little bit more to try to maximize the previous fib extension, and now create the higher wave to have a finished overshooting B wave and then come down in the C wave. But regardless, instead of all that speculation, it's continuing to take small long positions will be fine with a tight SO to take advantage of higher prices. And then, if you want to be conservative, just keep following the price higher with a retracement. If we break below this, it's an absolutely, in my opinion, reasonable reason to get out of the trade, conserve capital for deeper prices. But just remember to keep your SLs tight. Keep trying to maximize the profit. In my opinion, that's absolutely fine. But understand that until we have bullish confirmation, I'm still looking at this area right here. And in order for me to want to take a short trade, I'm gonna be very patient with Bitcoin. I'm gonna let it come down. I'm gonna let it try to test this 102.8k area. If it breaks below 102.7k actually, then I'll be looking to open some longs, because at that point it becomes very likely that we come into the purple area, because if the price breaks below the swing low, at that point we're not holding higher lows anymore, and now we have this super weak structure that can bring us down much lower. So but yeah, these are very important value areas to keep an eye on. So I'll keep you guys updated as Bitcoin gives us more information. I will pass it on to you guys as I see it, my own opinion on it, and then we'll continue on from there. So yeah, I'll catch you guys soon, and take care.